Well, hi, I'm Rick Reiff, and welcome to Inside OC. Barack Obama is now at the helm. Can he steer us out of this economic storm? But first, the state's financial storm. California goes deeper and deeper in the hock. The budget deficit is now estimated at a staggering $42 billion. Projects are halted, workers furloughed, and if nothing gives in the next few days, the state will have to issue IOUs because it will be out of cash. Why can't or won't the politicians pass a budget? Joining me are Assemblyman Jose Solorio, Democrat from Anaheim, and Assemblyman Chuck DeVore, Republican from Irvine. Thank you, gentlemen. So, Jose, the governor says we are headed toward financial Armageddon. Is he correct? And if so, what does that look like?
Well, we're definitely getting ready to fall off the cliff. We're looking at, over the next, several weeks, issuing IOUs, not having tax refunds go out when they're supposed to, and really just a lot of financial problems up and down the state.
Chuck, people feel a recession. They can look in their portfolios if they have any stocks, and they feel that. People hear for years and years that the state's it's going to be terrible, and nothing really happens. Is this Armageddon, and what's that going to look like?
This crisis was a long time in the making. We've more than doubled state spending in the last 10 years, about 40% increase in the last 4 or 5 years. So clearly we have been growing government. And it's not enough that we have the highest income tax in the country, the highest gas tax in the country, the highest state sales tax rate in the country, the highest corporate tax in the West. Obviously, that's not enough to feed the enormous growth in government that we've seen.
So are we headed to Armageddon?
I think we jumped off the cliff years ago, and we just haven't hit the rocks yet, and we're on our way down.
So what's that going to look like? I mean, are checks going to start bouncing from the state? I mean, what's going to go on?
Well, it's what Jose said. It's going to be IOUs, the first time since the Great Depression that the state has issued IOUs, unless the Republicans and Democrats can get together and pass some mid-year spending reductions that we've already agreed on.
All right. Why can't you get together? I mean, people have been saying that for a year now. Why can't the two parties get together?
There's some larger issues involved. For example, the Republicans are asking for meaningful government reform. We want to see a spending limit that is constitutional, that's hard to get out of because it is constitutional.
Okay. And unless you get that...
We want to also see labor law reform and environmental law reform so that we can actually get people back to work. We have a 9.3% unemployment rate now. Okay. We need to get people back to work.
Okay, so what about that? Spending cap, get people back to work.
Well, this is part of the problem here. Deregulation isn't going to fix the budget. We can't roll all these things back up. I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm willing to do some of those things, but the reality is I'm where most Californians are, where they want a balanced approach. Some cuts, half cuts, half revenue enhancement. That's what I'm willing to do. I've pushed the green button before. I don't know that many of my other colleagues are willing to do that.
On that Democratic budget that you voted for it, the governor vetoed it. Okay, so you were for that budget. Chuck was, of course, not for that budget. But let's try to get into some specifics here. Let's talk about and try to give me some big numbers here. That we got a $42 billion hole. All right, give me some big numbers. How do you close that? What would you do if
I'm
you
willing
were
to
in
do
charge?
half in cuts and half in revenue enhancement.
So $20 billion worth of cuts and $20 billion worth of new taxes.
That's what it's going to take. As a last
resort.
We got to do it.
You realize people will cry and scream about because to raise taxes $20 billion, you got to increase the motor vehicle tax. I assume the income tax, sales tax, do all those things.
It's a time for leadership. I'm not looking forward to making cuts or revenue.
But that's the hard medicine. That's the hard medicine. Plus $20 billion in cuts, which is double what your colleagues have proposed so far.
But we're going to have to do it whether we like it or not. We are about hitting the rocks. Let me also say this. It says a last resort, and it's to protect public education and public safety,
would not
which is
cut
very
education.
important. We're going to minimize the cuts to education. What we've seen thus far.
Give me an example of where $20 billion, the prisons, do you take some out of the prisons? How do you get the $20 billion?
Well, we're looking at some parole reform. We are going to have to do some things in education.
I admire your $20 billion in cuts. I don't really see where your $20 billion in spending is coming from. But that's okay. You answered the question, Chuck. $42 billion. Give me $42 billion.
To put things into context, if you went back to the budget we had 4 years ago, we'd be in balance. It's that simple. 4 years ago. Now,
so if it's simple, how
the other thing that's interesting is that what the Democrats are proposing in their cuts, half of which are not real. They're accounting sheets.
I already called Jose on that. I said I don't see his 20 billion. I understood his 20 billion in revenue. I didn't see his 20 billion cuts. You give me 42.
What Republicans have put on the table now are tax increases that actually equal what the Democrats want. Tax increases in exchange for meaningful limits in how much government can spend. And what we're seeing now is that the other side isn't interested in meaningful limits on how much government can spend.
We're going to get to the real reform that you're talking about, but right now, $42 billion.
Let me give you some specific examples. California is one of only 2 states in the entire country that has not fully implemented the welfare-to-work reform signed by President Clinton in 1996.
How much would that, if the state did that, how much?
You're looking, the governor's proposal, almost $2 billion a year.
$2 billion. All right, so now we're down to $40 billion.
That's right.
Let's keep going.
I have a proposal that would allow us getting at our over $1 billion, or pardon me, 1 billion barrels of oil off of our coast. You can securitize that. That's $5 billion
that's
right
$5
there.
billion more.
Exactly. So it seems to me that I've come up with specific solutions larger than what Jose, because he didn't get specific on you, did you? Did he?
No. Well,
he just had a number.
He did indicate
he had a broad
$20 billion, and everybody can imagine
it was
$20
a broad
billion
number
in
with no specificity.
Okay. Well, just give me, then let me give you the easy question. Give me the broad number, cuts, borrowing, spending, efficiencies. How do you get $42 billion?
What Republicans have gone to the negotiating table with now is they have dropped their insistence. I'm not saying I have, because I'm not going to vote for a tax increase. I think we're overtaxed. But the Republican leadership, as part of the good faith negotiations, has dropped their insistence to not increase taxes. If the Democrats will agree to a spending limit and some reforms to get Californians back to work.
Jose, how about that? A spending cap, whether it's constitutional or you guys voted, would you agree to a spending cap that would limit spending?
You know, I'm willing to consider a spending cap. And
you consider a spending cap?
Yeah, we have to look at what the exact language is.
They consider tax increases. If you consider a spending cap.
So we're getting there.
Would that be an ultimate outcome? There'd be some tax increase and there'd be a long-term spending cap?
I think that's what we're going to end up
We solved the budget.
And we're going to have an economic stimulus. I do want to add on this thing of the 42 billion, how we get there. It's not over the next 6 months. We have to come up to 42 billion. We're looking at the next 18 months.
Well, I'll tell you
some of these cuts now, some then.
A cap would be a big deal. All right. And David Nazar hit the streets of OC to get the public's ideas on the state budget crisis.
The state is in a mess financially, about $40 billion deficit. Should we raise taxes, cut spending, borrow money? What are your thoughts?
Well, probably it would be unpopular, but I was thinking we should actually raise taxes a little bit. I mean, you know, there are ways to cut spending, but we need to fix it immediately.
Do you see us even getting out of this mess?
Honestly, no.
California is in a financial mess. What do you think we do to get out of it?
Well, obviously it starts with the legislature and the government. We don't have enough dollars to go around, so we've got to make some tough choices on cuts. I think cuts have to happen everywhere.
If you had to make the decision to either raise taxes, cut spending, or borrow money, how would you get us out of the financial constraint we're in with the state of California?
It's a tough decision. I mean, obviously no one wants to raise taxes, but I do know that things like the library, our schools right now are having a lot of difficulties. I wouldn't want to be in politics. I mean, to borrow money also is not, we're already borrowing a lot, but I think that we do need to find some sort of answer to raise money.
Right now, it seems everyone is looking to borrow money from the feds. Do you think California should borrow money?
No, not at this time, because first of all, our federal government's hurting severely. I mean, if they keep printing money, they keep giving more things out to rescue different companies. All it is creates more debt. It weakens the dollar world, because we're in a world economy.
Well, then do we raise taxes or do we cut spending?
We need to cut spending.
Are you concerned?
Yes, I am very concerned. I'm very concerned. I think we're going to have to raise taxes in order to meet our obligations.
That's the only way to go right now?
Yeah, I don't see any other way.
Well, some good thoughts there, but again, no easy answers. Just quickly, because we're low on time, do we need to make some cuts to education?
we need to prioritize protecting education, but everything's going to be on the table.
Chuck, do we need to cut prisons? Do we need to make cuts in prisons?
I think we need to send more prisoners out of state where it's less costly to incarcerate them.
Okay, Jose, should we eliminate the 2/3 requirement in the legislature, that you need a 2/3 vote to enact a tax increase?
Yeah, for true accountability, I think we do need to change that requirement.
We need to change it. Chuck, should that be changed?
The people of the state of California voted for that 2/3 protection, so it's going to be up to the people to get rid of it. I think it serves the people by keeping their taxes from going too much higher.
Finally, in things that are being talked about, should some of these budget ideas go to the voters?
Some of them are going to have to go to the voters because it's only through a constitutional amendment that it's going to be real.
Do you favor going to the voters on anything here?
I think we need an open primary system. We got partisanship where Democrats are too far to the left, Republicans too far to the right. We need to be in the middle.
Letter grade for Schwarzenegger and how the governor has handled this.
D.
Early on, D. Recently, I think he's improved quite a bit. He's fully engaged now, and I think that he's got a solid B.
A solid B, okay. That's the highest I've heard a Republican give Arnold recently. Thank you, gentlemen. Good debate. The OC Insider's next, and then Obama, Corona, and more on Consider This. Well, now it's time for the OC Insider from the Orange County Business Journal. Well, this is Wiley Aitken, a big shot in OC, prominent trial lawyer, philanthropist, and Democratic power broker. But at the Obama inauguration, he was just the guy sitting in front of Dustin Hoffman. Aitken says people kept handing him their cameras so he could snap them with the Hollywood star. But he did get to chat with Hoffman. Both were guests of Senator Dianne Feinstein. Well, whatever happened to Sally Ride? The first woman in space became a physics prof at UC San Diego, and she's got her own education company. Now she's joined the board of Irvine-based Innovate Technology, a startup company that makes pollution sensors. Well, the rumors are swirling around Quicksilver. OC's iconic surfwear maker is suffering from the recession and a huge debt load. Unconfirmed rumors have the company shedding assets or getting bought out. One rumored suitor, Nike. Well, don't shed too many tears for out-of-work OC mortgage brokers. Many of those who helped get us into the housing mess will soon have new jobs with Uncle Sam. The FDIC is opening a big office in Irvine Spectrum to sell off all of those bad bank assets. It's hiring. Many of the jobs will pay 6 figures. And who better to handle the new deals than the guys and gals who wrote the old deals? Well, that's it for the Insider. Obama's new deal and Corona's jury deal next. And joining me for this edition of Consider This, energy consultant, Democrat, and former Huntington Beach Mayor Debbie Cook, and Republican pollster Adam Probolsky. Welcome. So, Debbie, you were there at the inaugural, and what was that like?
Well, yes, thanks to Dana Rohrabacher, I had really good...
The guy that you ran against.
Yes, I had really good seats. I was directly in front of him, about 50 yards back.
So you guys got the new era off on a bipartisan note. He gave you tickets.
He learned a lot from me. He did.
He's a gracious winner.
Yes.
And you're a gracious loser. You accepted his tickets.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so what was that like?
It was really an emotional experience to be there with 2 million people who I met all again at the airport leaving town. But it was really, really felt like it was a historic event, and it was wonderful to be there. I thought his speech was very good. It was, he's a very inclusive man, and he wants to embrace everyone. I think that's, why the selection of, his selections at the event. And I thought it was good.
Adam, did you like his speech, and did you feel embraced?
I thought it was a fine speech. I think expectations, or at least my expectations, were set very high. And so in the end, there's no particular line that I remember or anything that comes out and stands out from the speech at all.
Responsibility. Did that come through, or no, not really?
I don't particularly like responsibility.
There's much talk now. We're going to get this big stimulus package from Obama. It's being touted as a new age, or not, I wouldn't say a new age New Deal, but a new kind of New Deal. Is this a new deal, or is it going to be a bad deal?
Well, everyone that I talk to, every business person of any success, sizable success, suggests that the federal government continuing to step in and continuing to feed this spiraling downturn is a major stumbling block to our progress. That the people who have money to invest, people who are going to hire and put money into business and the economy, are waiting for the bottom. And if the government keeps trying to falsely prop this economy up, we're going to have a really long winter.
Do you see it a little differently, Debbie?
Well, to the extent that it embraces long-term solutions as opposed to short-term wants, I think it's a good deal. I also don't think that people understand that this banking situation is really dire. I mean, what if you go to the grocery store and you can't use your ATM machine because one bank won't accept another bank because one has got good credit, one has bad credit? I mean, this is a very large problem that I don't think most people understand.
Well, does this public works, that doesn't really address that aspect of it, does it?
You know what? You're going to have to address everything on every front. So it's really like fighting a war. You've got to address all of it. And you've got to keep people employed. You know, angry people can do some really desperate things, and we want to avoid that.
Okay, just short, do you think Obama is going to be able to improve this economy?
As much as anyone can, I think he can.
Adam?
You know, possibly, and if those monies are spent on infrastructure, I think here in California we've got to be very cautious as to how we spend it. For instance, we ought to figure out a way to loosen our environmental regulations so that money can be spent right away and make it happen quickly.
I don't understand why you would want to loosen something, you know, your environmental...
so you can build more roads, build some dams,
so you can contaminate more people. You know, we argue so much about the single life, but we throw away the thousands who are contaminated because of bad air and bad water and bad environment. We don't worry about them. We let someone else pay the price for their hospitalization or their bad lungs.
I'm talking about reporting. There's millions and millions of dollars that go into environmental impact reports and things that make no difference whatsoever in the actual function of building things.
Well,
if we're going to spend billions of dollars and we're going to have shovel-ready projects, the only way to do that is to say, okay, you don't have to fill out all the forms.
Well, we're not spending billions on environmental impact reports, but they can be improved because I think the quality of most EIRs is lacking.
Okay. David Nazar hit the streets once again to get the public's take on Obama and the economy.
What is your confidence level now that Obama has taken office that he can help the economy?
Extremely confident.
Why?
Nothing but the highest hopes. I think he's very, very smart, very intelligent, and he has the backing of millions of people in the United States. Finally, we can turn this economy around with his leadership.
Are you under the impression that President Obama can save the economy now?
Yes, I am.
Why is that?
I really couldn't give you a good answer. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I just know that he's most connected with the young people, and I appreciate that, and I don't think any other president in my lifetime, which hasn't been very long, has ever made the efforts that he has.
Is Obama the chosen one? Can he save us from this terrible economy?
It's really hard to know that yet. He's going to have a lot of cooperation from a lot of business and financial people to make it work, and probably worldwide leaders as well. It seems to me that the state of the economy is so deep, the problems are so deep and far-reaching that he can't just do it himself. He needs a lot of cooperation.
Why do you think that so many people right now are giving President Obama so much credit in the fact that he will get us out of this mess?
I think just a new direction.
What's your confidence with a new administration that the economy will get better?
I just am sure it's going to get better.
Why?
Because I have great confidence in Obama. I think he's the best thing that's come down the pike. I'm 92 years old. And this is in 8 years, I've just been horrified at what's happened to our country.
I think there's some prospects to be excited about, but in my ripe old age of 31, I've gotten old enough to know that take things in a little bit of stride and realize it is exciting from a historical standpoint, but the government's ability and the president's ability to impact the economy at times, there are definitely some levers he can pull, but it's a beast unto itself. So there's, I think a lot of times you want things to happen that can't always happen.
Well, I think that guy's got it right, Adam. But then again, one of the things that's going to happen is a lot of money that we already referenced. A lot of it going maybe into Orange County, over $1 billion in projects that are being queued up. Do you think this will get some things going in Orange County?
I think it will, and what's nice is we have agencies like the OCTA, Orange County Transportation Authority, and some water districts that have what they call shovel-ready projects. They've been in the planning stages for a long time, they've done their homework, and they're ready to go. As soon as they have the dollars available, they're ready to build them, and that'll be good for Orange County.
Debbie, you not long ago were a mayor in Huntington Beach. Are there some shovel-ready projects you could point to that you just love to have the money and get them going?
Well, we have some treatment facilities for runoff that we could get going on immediately.
Okay.
So
you think this will help? Will this help put people
well,
to work?
It depends on what they're shoveling, because I don't want to shovel more new roads. I don't think that is a long-term solution here.
Hires people, though. It's jobs.
Well, not just, and we could, you know what they're doing in Nevada.
Okay, well, let's talk Rick Warren. Rick Warren had the invocation. You were there. What did you think of Rick Warren's invocation, the pastor from Orange County?
Well, I think it was more the fact that he was giving it as opposed to what he was saying. While I'll defend anyone's right to protest, I appreciate the fact that Obama maybe went outside of his comfort zone because he really wants to demonstrate that he's going to include everyone in the discussion. And he wants to have a relationship with everyone, and so I think that was an interesting.
How did you think Rick Warren did?
Well, they're just fine. I mean,
it was tough though. He got upstaged by Aretha Franklin. You know, she came on huge cheers. So you know.
You know, it's interesting when you were there. The sound really wasn't that good.
Oh.
So
really?
Yeah, it was a little bit weak.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Corona verdict. I'd love to get your opinions on that. 1 for 6 on the prosecution, but the sheriff does get convicted of a felony. Or the ex-sheriff. What did you think of the verdict, Adam?
I think it's certainly a sad day for Corona and his family. He got convicted of a felony, but hopefully this, is close to ending it. I assume they'll appeal that.
Was justice done?
Well, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, there was a whole lot of Mike Corona was accused of some victimless crimes and some pretty egregious immoral behavior, but nothing that suggested that he had people suggest he had his hand in the cookie jar. Well, the sheriff can't give anyone anything.
That sounds like a partial vindication of Corona. Do you see it that way, Debbie?
Well, I don't think these high-profile political cases should be tried in Orange County. I think they really should be sent outside the county because every jury is going to have baggage associated with politics.
Do you think it made a difference in this case?
Absolutely.
Did it lead to a more lenient result for Corona?
Well, I mean, I wasn't the judge or the jury.
Did it help Corona or hurt him? What do you think?
I think it helped him.
It helped him having it here.
Yes.
So it should be. What do you think, Adam?
I don't know. I think the winner overall in the whole saga is Jones Day, the law firm that represented Corona. They had a pretty meaningful victory there.
Presumably, or what we understand is they're not getting paid. They're doing it. They did it pro bono.
Well, and the whole goal, I think, was to promote their white-collar crime division, which I think get a pretty good commercial.
So if you get into trouble, Debbie, are you going to go to Jones Day?
I'm not going to get in trouble.
I would never suggest that you're going to get into trouble. But, so it was good for them. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for another stimulating conversation. We didn't get to Sandra Hutchins, but maybe next time. Okay. You can watch this show and past shows by going to koce.org and clicking on Inside OC. My guests have been Jose Solorio, Chuck DeVore, Debbie Cook, and Adam Probolsky. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Inside OC.
Inside OC is brought to you by the following.
Lennar.com. Today's new homes. Everything you want. Everything you need. That's the logic of Lennar. Lennar.com.
The law firm, Stradling, Yaka, Carlson & Routh, a full-service corporate law firm in Southern California, celebrating 30 years, serving businesses and the communities of Orange County with valuable legal advice.
Support comes from City National Bank, providing complete financial solutions to entrepreneurs, their businesses, and their families on the way up in Orange County for more than 30 years. City National Bank believes in the power of the entrepreneur. On the web at cnb.com.
The City of Anaheim. Founded in 1857, Anaheim is Orange County's original city and California's 10th largest city. Information on living, working, or visiting Anaheim is available at www.anaheim.net.